Hey everyone, I see Shawn. Welcome to another edition of the Women Business Leaders Show. I am joined by my regular co-host Leah Woodford, who we'll see in a minute, and also DeVore Richter, who's here to give us some lessons about building success of women in business. So Jen is a woman in business. She works with both men and women on their marketing and branding and really building their business, but she's also led some workshops specifically for women. So we thought she'd be a great guest, help tune us in on some specific issues that women might be seeing, tips and ideas for women, thing that might help improve the business and the business process. So we'll have her join us in a minute. Leah is the host of Smart Femme TV, Smart Femme Magazine, and the Smart Femme Author, Speaker, and Entrepreneur Network, hosted their annual summit, and just generally interested in women in business. I'm a corporate lawyer by training. I help people with ownership and control of their business. That's partnership agreements, mergers, capital raises, transactions. I'm also a TEDx speaker on women in business, and it's an area where I get called to speak a lot. And I'm always looking to the future of business, which is where this show comes in, hoping to give you, women business leaders and those that are supporting women business leaders, ideas to help improve the future of business. So we'd love your comments and ideas, whatever issues you're seeing, problems, specific things we talk on the show that spark your interest. Drop them below, whether you're watching this on LinkedIn, whether you're picking up on Facebook, whether it's one of our YouTube feeds. We'd love to hear from you. And we remind you, we don't do investment advice or legal advice on the show. For those issues, speak to your advisors. Everything here is just for your general education to help spark ideas. With that, Jen, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you.
Leah here. Thank you as well.
Always a pleasure, Shawn.
Yeah, and so, a lot of people view this as a tension between women and men. And a lot of the articles you read, it's like women can only do this, men can only do that. And I don't think any of the three of us have that type of view of the environment, but women do have some special issues in the business world and some additional challenges. You want to talk a little bit about what you see when you're coaching or working with businesses to build their brands, some of the things you might see with women business owners in particular?
Was that to me or to Jen?
To Jen, sorry.
Okay, that's what I thought.
That's the same thing. Thank you. The big issue that I see with women business owners is really an internal issue. It's not coming from external forces. Mm-hmm. And in particular, I have experienced with my clients that it's confidence and there have been studies on this too. It's just not my opinion, but there have been studies that show that women tend to be less confident in making some business decisions. In particular, those related to how much they're supposed to charge, what the prices are supposed to be, and how much profit their business is supposed to take. There's actually a study out that says that women business owners feel sometimes, not all women business, but sometimes they feel that it's rude to make too much profit in a business.
Okay.
To me, I disagree. I wholeheartedly disagree with that one.
I know, me too. I'm like, come on, ladies, you deserve it. You work hard and you deserve to get paid well for what you do.
Absolutely. Mama needs some new shoes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's an issue, it is.
Right. And so many of these issues, when I did my TEDx talk and when I study this, I often like to look at statistical stuff because we can sit there and make these generalizations. But, you've cited it. I mean, there are statistical studies out there showing these differences in behavior. Now, where they come from, we can argue till the cows come home, whether it's nature, nurture, whatever. What really matters is how do we move effectively forward in business, right, Jen? So what do you work with in your clients and how do you start moving past this? Wherever this came from, how do you get women into the next category?
So I have a little saying, confidence comes from clarity. There's a lot of speakers and authors in the women's business circuit that talk a lot about confidence issues for women in business. And I think that the fastest, easiest way to get more confidence in your business is to get really clear on who you are, who you serve, what problem you solve, and what value you bring to the market. And when you have that clarity, you'll see it's like magic. The confidence will come. Confidence isn't this superficial thing that you're just magically going to pull out of the air one day.
Right.
It is something that has to be, it has to be earned. And I think that by the faster that you can get more clear in your business, the faster that confidence will come. So that's what I help business owners do, is get really clear on those value statements that I just shared.
Yep. And Leah, why don't you speak a little bit to this? Because I think, one thing I've watched, and 2 years ago, you were getting ready to throw your conference for the first time. And I know the first year the conference went really well, but there was a lot of challenge to it. Now I'm watching you in year 2, and there's just, a settled feeling with you, and that you're building this conference. So why don't you talk a little bit about kind of how that worked for you as kind of just a mini example, maybe.
Well, first of all, it's easier now because I have proof of concept.
Right.
I'm not selling air anymore. We've done it. It was successful, so now we're doing it again. We've recently moved it to Scottsdale, which I'm really excited about. We built the TV studio, which I'm at right now. But we also, there's something to be said about having a home court advantage, which I really love. But I think for us, and Shawn, you were there in the beginning.
Sure.
There were 8 of us that were going to do it. And then there were 2, the bottom line is you got to keep going. And I hear no a lot. I hear no a lot. Remember my book authors. Yeah. Finding 10 book authors was a quest last year.
Yeah, 10 quality. And I think that's something too. There's a lot of rejection in business, right? And we do hear about it sporadically, but it's not really faced fully for what it is. I mean, as a business owner, as somebody that's building a brand, you're going to constantly hear no. And I think women, either culturally or for whatever reason, they tend to react differently to a no than a lot of men do.
For me, no just means not now.
Right.
A couple of my sponsors and book authors last year that said no, I don't think it's the right time. Now they're back.
Right.
And they're paying this year because, it's the proof of concept. But you can't let no affect you. You just got to keep going. And you got to, Jen was right on. I know exactly what the conference is for. Despite the fact that I'm hosting it, I'm doing very little of the speaking. I'm bringing in the experts like Jen, like Brad, like you. Mm-hmm. I'm bringing in the other experts because I'm staying in my lane. And I think that's another problem that women seem to get shiny car syndrome. They don't stay focused on what they're supposed to be doing, and they're all over the board, again, with the clarity. Yep. They chase the new shiny object, and then they're lost.
And then they try to be everything to all people because they're not clear on who they serve, what problem they serve, what the value is, what is the outcome. So they're not clear, and so they're jumping around trying to serve the wrong people, and they don't get great results because they're constantly changing their outcome or what they do with clients, or they're working with the wrong clients and they start to get negative experiences and no's like you're talking about. And that just starts to beat them down, right? And then they start to feel rejected and like, oh, I'm not good enough, or no one's going to pay me that for that. And then because they weren't clear in the beginning, then they start to have these confidence problems. All these things are all related.
They are. Clarity is everything. And, I do the conference once a year. I've written 1 book. I'm working on my second one. and I'm a professional speaker, but I consider myself a professional who speaks because at the end of the day, I have magazines and TV shows to produce. It is one revenue stream. And Jen, I wanted to jump in this with you too, because I think too many women don't really look at more than one revenue stream.
Right. So I think it's important to have one core offer first, especially if you're a brand new entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. You need to know what is the one main thing that you sell. And then you can create spin-off products, right? But because of shiny object syndrome, like Shawn, like you were talking about, people are jumping around and trying to sell this thing and that thing and this thing, and they're not really getting a result out of any one thing. Once you master the one thing, then you can start adding additional things to your plate. One of the things that I'm going to be talking about at the Smart Femme conference is how to create a signature program so that you can monetize your expertise in lots of different ways. So you put all your energy, all your knowledge, expertise, and passion and love into your core, the way that you do things, and you package it up like a branded product, right? And then you can spin it off into books. I'm going to bring these with me. I'm going to have show and tell at the conference, but I've created an actual like physical box out of my program that I sell at my own events.
I want one.
Yeah, it's cool. But so I sell it, and I sell it for a lot of money. I sell it for like $1,000.
Wow.
My program in a box. So it's so once you have your signature program and your unique way of doing things, then you can easily spin it off into different revenue streams without having to reinvent the wheel and without losing that clarity.
Yeah, so it's a process, but specifically with women, how do you, we talked about rejection, getting the no's. We talked about kind of the focus, because I think the studies, generally show women tend to be multidimensional, right? They have lots of different interests. They're, in the classic example, they're doing 10 things at once, and women are very good at that.
Actually, they're not. They're not.
Well,
they're
better than men at doing 10 things at once.
Well, I'm just going to jump in on that one. I think for me personally, and most of the women I know, yes, we have different interests and we have different skill sets, but multitasking doesn't really work. Your brain can only focus on one task at a time, and we're just better at chunking it down. We're gonna get this focused on, we're gonna get it out, and then we're gonna move on to this next one. So it looks like we're doing a lot, and we are, but we're not doing them simultaneously.
Right. So what's your answer to that, Jen? How do you build that process for a business owner that you're working with, you're taking to the next level?
So at the Smart Fem conference, I'm going to be talking about this also. It's the 80-20 rule. There are only 20% of the activities that you're doing every day are actually revenue generating activity. All the other stuff, the 80% of time is non-revenue generating. So if your business is struggling and you're feeling underwater, or you're not clear, you're losing confidence, you're losing money, you're not making the income that you want to make, we have to just narrow your focus to the 20% of revenue generating activities. That's so like, I'm not a huge believer in like time management, because we can't manage time. Time is going to tick on and on without us. No one has figured out a secret formula for harnessing time, but we can manage our actions. And if you focus your actions on revenue generating activity, RGA, I call it revenue generating activity, then you can get more done in less amount of time.
And top, just jumping on that, the other thing is, and I know this for us specifically with SmartFem, 80% of your income is coming from 20% of your clients. So you need to figure out who your top tier clients are and go after those. Quit going after, the PETA clients.
Right. And I think maybe that's something where, some business owners, and this is both men and women, they want to keep everybody happy, right? And the truth is, as your business is growing and expanding, some of them clients may no longer be a fit. You may find that out through the process. I've talked to one very successful business owner who looks at the growth plans of his potential clients, and if his potential clients are not going to have significant growth, he will not accept them as a client, because his philosophy is, if you're not growing, I'm growing. We're not going to be a fit 2 or 3 years from now. And so,
yeah, I actually had a prospect. One of my prospect calls this morning was with a gentleman, and once he got on the phone, even though I do use an application process with my prospects, but from his application, I wasn't exactly sure what was going on with his business. So I did the phone call anyways. And about 30 minutes into it, I realized he's not a right fit for me, because how he wants to build his business isn't in alignment with my process, with the way that I teach and preach and implement in my own business. And so I wasn't a good fit for him. Right. So, just, knowing about your business and having the courage to not only dump the PETA clients, like Leah just said, but also the clients that aren't a right fit for you. You don't have to just take on every client that comes your way just because you need the money. Right. And so you can avoid a lot of PETA clients if you have a process in place and you are really clear and stick to a program in your business of, who you want to serve and what it is that you do and what the outcome is.
Yeah, and that's kind of flip of what we just talked about a minute ago, right? So not only are you now going to be on the receiving ends of no's as your business grows in scale, or as you get a position, at least in the early days, until you know who your perfect customer is and you have a really targeted message, you're going to get a lot of no's. But you're also talking about the fact now, too, you need to issue a lot of no's, right? You got to go out there and tell a lot of people no, because if you start saying yes to everybody, that's going to lead to its own host of problems, mainly not having time left to do the stuff that matters.
Right. And, so go ahead, Leah.
We've seen a lot of that. People that charge too little coaching, group coaching. Somebody comes to mind, but her dollar amount, she's never going to be able to go where she needs to go because she is so busy trying to be everything to everyone and desperate for money that she's not really creating the product or the service that's going to attract the bigger client. And that, I would rather have 10 awesome clients than 100 PETA clients.
Yeah.
Because you keep them longer and they stay with you and they grow with you.
Right. And those clients are word of mouth. Jen, you were going to jump in there too before Leah jumped in. So I want to make sure I get your thoughts here.
I think I just have personally experienced this, what Leah was just talking about. Probably 5 years ago, I was in that exact situation. I had built an agency around myself and I had about 42 clients, and they were, I would say the majority of them were not great clients. We weren't a great fit for each other because I was compromising and just kind of taking sort of like the low-hanging fruit types of clients, and I wasn't charging enough to value myself. So I basically had done this to myself. I don't blame it on the clients. I totally take responsibility for it. And like, the example Leah was sharing about the coach who's undercharging for her group program and trying to be everything to all people, I had made that mistake. And I found myself just really frustrated and overwhelmed and burnt out. And then as a woman, working all day and coming home and trying to be happy and smiley for my kids and my husband and manage it all. I was like, I remember one night I was sitting in bed crying, drinking a glass of wine. And my husband looks at me and he says, okay, the end, we're done with this. You cannot let your company and your business impact your life like this. You've got to build a different business model. And that was kind of like a changing, pivotal moment for myself where I said, I'm going to go quality over quantity. And like Leah, I would rather have 10 amazing clients than 42 PETA clients, because I have been there and done that and made that mistake, and I vow to never do it again.
Yeah. So how do you break that process, Jen? And I think I know where this answer is going, but if you're sitting there as a business owner and you've got yourself in this trap, and believe me, I've sat in a similar trap running a law firm, right? Where you're selling dollars for hours, right? And this happens to a lot of professionals. Happens to a lot of people when they're starting up, and you get that first customers, and then you got your customer base, and you're so busy servicing them every hour of every day that you can't go get strategic about your business. How do you break that, Jen? What do you do?
I always say the first question to ask is who.
Yeah.
Not how or what, but who. Who do you really want to work with? I wanted to work with clients who, when I'm working with them, it felt like it was fun. And they appreciated me and they valued me, instead of some of the other clients I had that didn't appreciate me, didn't value me. I had this one client, he was a surgeon, and I was the only person.
You're tough.
No.
I've had a few.
Yeah.
I was the only person doing marketing for him. And I pull up in front of his office and I'm driving a Hyundai hybrid. And it's a nice car. It's a beautiful car. Yeah. And it's paid off now, so I still have it because I'm not buying another car until I move to Denver. But I'm driving my Hyundai hybrid, and I pull up in front of his office, and I basically have made him a very wealthy man. He had a Ferrari and a Porsche parked out front.
Okay.
And when he first came on with me, he had one office, and then I built him 4 offices and a 10,000 square foot surgery center. And he treated me like garbage. He didn't appreciate anything that I did. He never said thank you. I even invited him into our home to our Christmas parties and our Halloween parties and all that stuff. You would think this guy would be at least saying thank you every once in a while. He had no consideration for me whatsoever. So I had to drop him like a hot brick and take my talents to other people that would appreciate me. So it's really about, who do you want to work with? Now I've got awesome clients who love me. They send me thank you gifts. Like they cry, like they hug me. Like that's who I want to work with. So I would start with asking who you want to work with.
Well, right. And don't you find, first of all, they stay with you forever. I mean, we talked about this. I'm going to be doing a commercial for Lexus. They've been with us since we were brand new and just a magazine and now coming over. But they have the staff, they have the budget, and because you've created a bond with them, you can throw your heart over the bar. It's really hard to do with those PETA clients because no matter, you work twice as hard and they're so ungrateful, and they do burn you out. So I have a rule, no PITA clients.
Yeah, and it's a little bit easier in the legal industry. I still do significant business in law aside from my consulting. In the legal industry, we started asking clients, how many lawyers have you been through recently? And if they've been through 2 or 3 lawyers in the last 6 months, you know exactly what you're getting coming into your door, right? And so that, but you can start filtering and asking those questions. Does this person have a positive attitude? Are they looking to the future? Are they looking at the good side of things? Or do they have unrealistic expectations? Those are simple things, right, Jen? But you have to get that structure in your business, I guess, right? And that's a piece.
Do you guys use applications to weed out your clients, or do you use application and interview, or just interview?
I actually have to physically see, because I'm dealing with the decision makers, and they're going to usually pass me off to somebody. So I actually have to see if the person that they're putting me with is somebody I can work with, because I may love the client and not be able to work with that. That's happened a couple of times. So now I really know, because it's so personal, especially when you're creating something for them with marketing. You know this, Jen. Right. You have to. It's business, but it's personal. And you're going to spend a lot of time and a lot of energy. And if there's not a good fit, I want to know right away.
Yeah, and I essentially have an application process. A lot of my leads come in via email. People refer me, email will show up, and I can reply back with 3 or 4 questions, and reply to the 3 or 4 questions will tell me whether we're in the ballpark of doing business with each other or not. Mm-hmm. And then it moves to a phone call, usually for me.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't have the volume of web business yet where I need like an application form on my internet. Maybe someday I'll get there, but for me, it's usually an email. I reply back with a handful of questions, and we know from that point whether there might be a fit. So, but
yeah, I've gone to application before I do a phone call, because most of my business is not local.
Yeah.
I mostly work with clients that are national or international clients, and so I don't have the luxury, likely, of being there physically in front of them. And so I have implemented an application process and then a phone call. It's not a sales call, but it's me interviewing them and them interviewing me. That's been my mentality with it. It's not just them calling me to see if they want to hire me or not. And I think that doing that, just those 2 simple steps, if you have a business that's maybe not just a local business, but also, if you coach online or, have international clients or national clients, that application process, and then treating your phone conversations like a 2-way street versus, begging for business or having to sell yourself. That's really helped me personally.
Yeah. What other quick tips do you have as we wrap up here?
Actually, before we do that, Shawn, Jen, can we talk about your book? I see it right behind you.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Leah. Leah is one of the featured stories in the book. I wrote this book. It's Boss Women Rock, which is the name of my company, how to go from best kept secret to sought after expert. And it's for you if you are a coach, a consultant, or a service-based professional who is sick and tired of chasing after clients one at a time, and you want to be able to scale your message and monetize your brand. And so I break down all of my real life. It's not theory and strategy. These are the real life things, that the core foundations of what you need to do in order to do that, and to position yourself away from your competition and generate all the business you can handle, basically. So that's
and I'm just going to jump in and say it's a great book. It's a fun read. It's a fast read. But for those of you who don't know, Jen is the former marketing director of NASA, and I'm so excited to have her at our conference. But you know what? She's not they're not theory. This is tried and true, and it's a great book, and she gives a lot of sage advice.
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth checking out her book. And also, I know you have a lot of stuff out there. You do LinkedIn, you do emails, you do a lot to help the community. Jen, why don't you talk about other ways people can check you out? Because I think a lot of people might benefit from learning more about what you're doing.
So I have a podcast on iTunes, also called Boss Women Rock. It's called Boss Women Rock Success Secrets. So I give lots of value on the podcast. The podcast and the book is available on Amazon, but you can get it at bosswomenrockbook.com, and that'll redirect you to the Amazon page. Those are my 2 primary forms of communication.
Yeah.
And then I do a lot of events. I do my own local events, and then I also speak at other people's events like the Smart Femme Conference. So I really
We're
encourage
excited to have you.
you to come for that. Yeah, it's going to be amazing. I can't wait.
Yes. So it's great stuff, Jen. Learned a lot here today, folks. We'd love to see your comments. If you're watching this video, we want to hear from you. We want to know what you took away, what issues you're having. If you have additional questions, we'll try to get Jen to come back and answer those questions. So just let us know what's going on in your world, because we want to hear from you. Take a moment, pat yourself on the back for investing in yourself, building the future, and come back and check us out for another episode of Women Business Leaders. You can also see us at futureofwomeninbusiness.com. So thanks, everybody. It was a lot of fun. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Leah. Bye, Shawn.
Bye.